Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Marone for Westchester Talk Radio. And once again, we are with our friends at Hightower, Westchester. And we're here with our special series. We continue with What Should I Focus On in My? And in this case, what should I focus on in my 60s? And today we're focusing on the 60s. And to do that with us, we welcome once again Peter Lang, Managing Director and Partner at Hightower, Westchester. It's great to see you once again, my friend.
Thanks, Bob. It's great to be here as well. Thanks as always for having us. We enjoy it.
Oh, no, we do too, but I need to know. I've already through my 60s, but the people watching and listening are entering them. What are a few of the most important things for people to think about from a financial perspective as they enter their 60s?
Sure. Well, I think the biggest thing to focus in isn't necessarily these aren't necessarily finances like, oh, you should buy this or do this. I think the topics the first thing to start is to understand that the 60s are different now than what they were when someone's in their 60s is different now than what it might have been 10, 20, 30 years ago. And I think the most startling fact is, look, we've always had this idea in our mind that at 65, I'm going to retire, as if that's a magic age that says, oh, I'm 65, it's time to go. I turned 65 on Tuesday. I guess Thursday is my last day. I'm retiring. I'm going to have a long weekend. I'm good. I'm out the door. I think what's really interesting are what the demographic trends are telling us other than that. Right? In the year 2000 or thereabouts, this is all according to some research done by JP Morgan, about 19% of the workforce in the year 2000 was age 65 or over. By 2020, that number is now 27%. So we are talking almost a 50% increase, and that's just over a 20-year time period. It is expected by the year 2030, that number will jump to about 32%. So almost 1/3 of the workforce will be 60 or over by the time, we roll into the next decade, only, 8 years away. So the fact is that in 10 years from now, 8 years from now, 1/3 of people over 65, good chance they'll still be working at 60, in their 60s, 65, and even beyond.
What else should someone look at in their 60s?
Well, I think the two big things that always come to everybody's minds are Social Security and Medicare, right? Those are the two big topics on the front of everybody's mind once they roll into their 60s. So let's just spend just a couple, literally 1 or 2 minutes on each and cover them quickly. Mm-hmm. So if you're still working at, 62, 63, 64, et cetera, chances are you don't need the income from Social Security. So assuming that's the case, you probably should defer, right? So let me give if you were born after 1960, your full retirement age is 67 years of age. You can claim as early as 62 if you choose. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to claim at 62, you're only going to receive 70% of the full benefit that you could have received at your full retirement age of 67. And in fact, if you wait an extra 3 years, so pushing off claiming until age 70, you're going to receive 124% of your benefit. Those last 3 years grow at approximately 8% a year as far as increasing your benefit. So if you're working and don't need the income, I would say in many cases, it really makes sense to push it off and claim as late as possible. Medicare is a little different, right? Medicare, is the government program that all people 65 years in age must apply for. Now, you have to apply for it, doesn't mean you have to take it. And the rules are pretty strict, and it's really important not to mess this up. So you have a 3-month window around your 65th birthday, 3 months before and 3 months after, that you need to apply for Medicare. Now, if you're still working, you still need to apply. And assuming you're still working and the job you have has full medical benefits, dental, healthcare, the full suite of benefits, right? So you really don't need, Medicare per se. You do need to apply, and that's the key. You must apply, and then you can defer. You can say, okay, I'm applying. Here's my Medicare. I've submitted my application, but I don't need it right now. I'm still working. I have insurance. Government is totally fine with that. If you don't apply, you're going to pay a penalty basically for the rest of your life. So that's one of those things you kind of set a reminder on your calendar for, so you don't forget to do it.
So just go do it, folks. Okay, what else should someone look at in their 60s, Peter?
Well, I think the natural thing that comes to mind, whether you're working or not, is your budget, right? How much you spend. Now, there used to be a lot of, I'm going to call them kind of antiquated theories out there. Oh, I'm retiring. I'm going to spend 50, 60, 70% of what I used to spend. Suddenly you're going to be spending less because, the thinking was back then I was going to go sit on my front porch on my rocking chair, from 9 to 5 instead of a job. Again, think of the longevity that we talked about earlier. People are working longer. Why are they working longer? Because we're living longer. So therefore, if we're living longer, chances are we're going to be more engaged. So if you're still working, obviously at 65, 67, 68, whatever the age is, your spending probably doesn't change very much at all. Now, let's say you retire. Again, I think it's a kind of a fallacy that you're suddenly going to spend less. What I've seen with my clients, and I've been doing this for almost over 30 years now, is what tends to happen is clients tend to spend about the same amount of money. They simply spend it very differently, right? We live in the New York area, so we're used to having a lot of commuting costs, be it monthly train tickets or parking at the parking garage in the city or all the tolls, all that kind of stuff, right? That adds up to a fair sum of money on a monthly annual basis. So that doesn't necessarily go away. It simply changes, right? Chances are if you are actually retired, what are you going to do more of? Well, you're not going to commute into the city 5 days a week, right? But you're probably going to travel more. Take longer trips, weekend trips. You'll say, let's hit the road and drive up to XYZ. Let's drive up to New England for 3 or 4 days. Let's jump in a plane and take a plane to wherever you're going to go, right? So you're going to take probably a lot more shorter trips / vacations, some travel, maybe to see your kids or grandkids if they don't live in the area. Your housing costs are probably going to remain mostly the same, right? You still have a house unless you choose to downsize. So a lot of the costs are kind of, if you think of them as kind of fixed costs, and so you're still going to eat. So there's still that aspect of it. Maybe you go out a little bit more for meals. So again, I don't think the overall spending changes very much. It just changes where you spend it. So we really recommend, do a budget, and as part of that, again, think about where you're spending it now and where you might spend it later. And that kind of dives right into about a financial plan, right? Have you done a financial plan? We strongly recommend that all of our clients do a financial plan. And for most of our clients, when they come and join us as new clients, one of the first things we embark on in the first few months is, in fact, the financial plan. Think of a financial plan as a roadmap, right? Or a GPS. Let's say you're planning a 300-mile road trip. And if you're doing 60 miles an hour, that's going to take you 5 hours based upon the map or the GPS, right? What we don't know until you hit the road is there going to be construction? Is there going to be traffic? Are you going to make a couple pit stops along the way to grab some food or fuel or whatever? Or are you going to take the scenic route? So what you think is going to take you 5 hours might take you 6, 7, 8, or 9 hours. We just don't know. And that's really what a financial plan is. There's no set, this is the way you must do it. There are many variations to the theme. You're still going to make it to, if you follow the GPS, you're still going to make it from point A to B. It just might take you a little bit longer.
That's fascinating that you actually don't change how much you spend. You just spend it differently. Wow. Thanks so much for these quick and useful points. What can you tell us, considering when we're in our 60s, what can you tell us as a closing comment?
Again, I'm going to reference back to the last thing I just said, is the financial plan. I think that is truly the most important thing you can do, because the financial plan will also, not only will it show what your spending is now while you're working, what it might look like when you retire, it will incorporate in Social Security and to optimize the best time to take Social Security. And it can have all of these different variations of things that you might want to do in retirement. Maybe you want to take the big safari to Africa and you need to plan for that big expense. Maybe it's all those things you were putting off. We can build that into a financial plan so you can see what the ramifications of those decisions will look like in your retirement. So start with the financial plan. That is the most important piece of advice that we can provide.
Well, it's been good advice. Peter Lang, Managing Director and Partner at Hightower, Westchester. Thank you once again. I'm Bob Marone for Westchester Talk Radio.
Hightower Westchester is a group of investment professionals registered with Hightower Securities LLC, member FINRA and SIPC, and with Hightower Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Securities are offered through Hightower Securities LLC. Advisory services are offered through Hightower Advisors LLC. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities. No investment process is free of risk, and there is no guarantee that the investment process or the investment opportunities referenced herein will be profitable. Past performance is not indicative of current or future performance and is not a guarantee. The investment opportunities referenced herein may not be suitable for all investors. All data and information referenced herein are from sources believed to be reliable. Any opinions, news, research, analyses, prices, or other information contained in this research is provided as a general market commentary. It does not constitute investment advice. Hightower Westchester and Hightower shall not in any way be liable for claims and make no expressed or implied representations or warranties as to the accuracy or completeness of the data and other information, or for statements or errors contained in or omissions from the obtained data and information referenced herein. The data and information are provided as of the date referenced. Such data and information are subject to change without notice. This podcast was created for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely those of Hightower Westchester and do not represent those of Hightower Advisors LLC or any of its affiliates. Hightower Advisors do not provide tax or legal advice. This material was not intended or written to be used or presented to any entity as tax advice or tax information. Tax laws vary based on the client's individual circumstances and can change at any time without notice. Clients are urged to consult their tax or legal advisor before establishing a retirement plan.